Isaikatikinane Chukuk Sametl Siatsa Sametliganan. Where'd my controls go?
You know, less than an hour ago, I was going through something in my head, you know, and I knew that there was Yaim, and then some of our other texts had Siatsum, and there's a slight difference in meaning between the two.
Onas. Hard to say for BC dialect of jargon whether there's really a meaning difference between these different words we have for story. I was just using a couple of them, and Norbert used another one. You know, I've been promoting, I hope gently, word that I see a lot in the Kamloops Wawa newspaper for story, and that's siatsum. I've used it in a bit of my texts that I've created for you guys. But the older words, the older words are yayim, which I've used sometimes also in these texts. And there's iganum, which is the real old word for like a traditional tale. Or some people would call iganum a myth. It even shows up in real early word lists. Some of you know this as religion because it's the real traditional stuff. Iganum. But anyway, yeah. For that matter, we could say story. I think use the word story in our BC Chinook Wawa, based on the kind of observation that there's a lot of New English stuff borrowed into BC dialect. New meaning 1890s or so. Anyhow, so here's a siatsum or yayim Samish, and you guys have been looking at this, I guess, to some extent. I'm sorry I've been absent. I had had things come up. Ich naiket man ayak yagachaku sick. One of my sons got sick all of a sudden.
Weight klush.
The alta conwit slush yakwa.
Weight klush.
So everything is fine now. So you guys did look at this I think?
Yeah, the beginning.
I think we went all the way down to when it was talking about him jumping into the canoe. And there was a longer sentence that was repeating the jump and run thing, and it didn't seem to make a lot of sense to us at first.
Got a quick question here for you, Dave. Is there anything you could tell us about this Sametl?
Sametl? No.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's no problem. I just
it's a traditional story. In fact, this would be something you could call iganum for that reason. So it's Husainich storyteller Thomas Paul, a Saanich Salish person, putting one of their traditional stories into jargon. That's about as much as I know about it. Like, I haven't seen other versions of it.
Okay.
So I have no real background. But yeah, so it is a local story. It's definitely set locally. You probably noticed it has a couple of pretty obvious local place names in it. Like this right here, I'm highlighting Kaya. That's a Sanchothan Salish name of a place, and there's maybe one or two others in this story.
Somewhere, I don't know if it was in the notes, in the notes or where it was, but I think it's Mill Bay.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense if any of you guys know the area of Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mill Bay's one of the reserves nowadays. And there's a, major ferry connection out of there and so on. So some of you guys may have been there. You might be able to picture it.
You could just go and run through the beginning again if you want, or we could just pull up from where we left off.
Yeah, I'm open to suggestions. If we start from the beginning, it'll get me kind of back into what was happening in the story. I haven't really looked at it much.
And who wanted to beat who up?
Yeah.
Okay, I see. We always have that, don't we, with the flying yakas? Yaka this and yaka that.
Well, why don't we motor through it from the beginning and try to do it quickly at the beginning, and then you could enlighten us to anything we're missing out on.
All right, so I'm going to do my thing here. I'm going to write the list of who's in here so I can remember to give everybody, their turns at it. Just about got that written down. And let's see, I have a strategy, an unspoken strategy. Let's see here. So yeah, I'd be happy to start out. Let's see.
Paragraph at a time, maybe, and just.
What's that?
Paragraph at a time, maybe, and then just motor through that way.
You're still a little muffled on my bad audio.
Maybe a paragraph at a time, maybe, or.
Okay, yeah.
To give us more speed.
Hayu Masi, thank you. So, yeah, paragraph 1 here. And I did try to preserve some of Thomas Paul's local BC accent, by the way, in the spellings, so you'll hear some of that. Yakaskuka man, Ankati, Okuk Sametl, Helo Flaxta Dolo, Delayed highest come tax coolie, Bus Yaka Chakukopa Inatai, Chakukopa Ich village, Yakatiki fight, Solix. So gratuitously adding a dash there. So he was a strong man, Yakaskuka man. Long ago, this Sametl, I put that in capital letters, kind of a tribute to how the Saanich, Kusanich people write their own language. They have kind of a capital letter alphabet. Helo Tolo. Nobody beat. So nobody could beat him. It's implying a him there.
Wow.
Which is a little unusual to not say him when you mean a human.
And is this Thomas Paul's idiosyncrasy, or is it really what you're seeing?
Yeah, it's kind of a Thomas Paulism.
Okay.
Like his way of telling a story, it appears. So delayed highest contact schooling. Really, he very new running. He was a great runner. When he came to across, so when he got across the water, this one time evidently, coming to a village, he wanted to fight. Belligerent. Salix means like angry or to fight. In the context, we could say, he wanted to fight, and he was aggressive. He was belligerent. Salix. And Rein, what do you think of this next chunk here?
Sure. P Telecom Klaska Chaco Karamokst Klush Nesaika Kuli Kopa Yaka House Okok Man P Alki Nesaika Kakshi Yaka Telecom P Telecom Yaka Kuli Lolo Mox Kanim Pathel Kopa Telecom P Klaska Kuli Klatowa Kopa Inati P Wake Seya Klepsho Sametl Yaka Midlight Kakwa Kopit. Yeah. If one request, Dave, could you just put it up on the screen a bit bigger?
Yeah, good idea. Let's see.
Well, that the P Telecom Klaska Chaco Kanamakst and people they come together. Klush Nasaika Kuli Kopa Yaka House Okokman. Good if we go to his house, that man. Pi Alki Nasaika Kakshit Yaka Telecom. And then we'll beat up that man. Pitelecam Yaka Kuli Lolo Mox Kanim. The people they go to their two canoes and they fill them up with people. Piklaska Kuli Klatawa Kopa Inati, and they go across, or they go to the other side. Piwake Sea Klapsho Sametl Yaka Midlight. And not far from the shore is I guess is Sametl. He is there, and Kakwa Kopit, and like this it ends.
Nice, yeah. And if I could run over that, maybe
Please
touch
do.
on a couple details, yeah?
Please.
Okay, and the people, they came together, they met, they had a meeting, Chaco Kanamox come together, and it's implied that, yeah, this is what they're saying in quotation marks. So, Tlush, good is like, let us, good that we travel. I often advise, before you figure out what exactly Kuli means in a particular situation, you can think of it as very generally travel. It does come from the French word for run, Canadian French run, but particularly in BC, it's generic motion word travel. So let us travel to his house, that man. I just added the comma here to kind of clarify. It's kind of association of the house and the man there. And this is a future marker, essentially, achke. So, and future, we. So we will beat up his people. And the people, this is singular yaka. It typically means he or she, but I have pointed out to the group a number of times, fluent jargon speakers often can use it for they. In this case, I think it's they. Here we have, and the people, they traveled carrying or bringing 2 canoes. So that is, they quote unquote took, right? They rowed in 2 canoes full with people, filled with people. And they, here's the actual word for they, not Yaka. And they traveled going. And Mr. Paul has this interesting thing where he uses Kuli plus another word. He has Kuli Lolo, traveled carrying. And he has here, they traveled going to across. So they traveled across the water back to Samish side. And Waiksaya means almost, because it's literally not far. And here it's almost. Clap means to get or to reach. Shore, which is kind of a new discovery for us in jargon. No dictionary will tell you this word shore, but again, in BC you have a lot of these borrowings of English words. So almost reaching the shore, Sametl, he was there. And then here is almost like the ending of the story. Kakwa Kopet. Like that only, right? Some of you will recognize that's how stories often end. It's some variation on this. Yeah, that's all about that. So like that only. Kind of signaling we're going to have a shift in the story, a shift of perspective now, going into this paragraph 3. And Norbert, would you take that?
Just before you do, Norbert, can I just say hello to Dale? Dale, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Is that
Okay,
Dale
now,
coming
Dale,
in?
we can't see you for some reason. If you haven't combed your hair, that's fine.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, Dale.
But now I just see everyone in the ribbon.
So we
in
cannot
the
hear you,
bottom
Dale.
on the side, right?
Okay.
We cannot hear you, Dale. You might have to come in again.
Not yet.
Not
Say
the only one with a connection problem today. Okay.
Uh,
so. It's his computer.
Dale,
And just for the benefit then of let's see, Kalen and Alex, Dale is up. Oh Lord, I'm sorry, Dale, and Bella
Kula.
Bella
Kula area.
I got it half right. Bella
Hazelton.
Kula. Okay.
And he also is a Michif speaker and very good Chinook speaker.
Yes.
Yeah. And Dale, like I did, he studied linguistics at UVic. That's where we met. I think maybe just go ahead and hope that Dale gets in on this, Norbert.
Sure, yeah.
Samech Yaka Nanich, or Nanich, if it pronounces it that way. Tennis Wolf, Piyaka Damdam, Pus Yaka Iskam Okok Tennis Wolf. So Samech, he came upon a baby wolf, a wolf cub, and he was thinking whether he should take this wolf cub. Pisamech Yaka Kuli Home, Yaka Hliatwa Kopa Yaka House, Yaka Mamuk Shush Yaka House, Yaka Mamuk Skukum Yaka House. Well, Kabit Kakwa. So I think this means then Samech, he hurried home and went to his house, and he made his house better. Or he made his house,
Fixed it up, maybe.
fix it out, you know. And he made his house strong. He fortified his house. Well, that is about it.
So another of the little mini ending formulas there, right? So evidently we're going to switch to kind of another point of view or another scene. And then we get into an awfully long paragraph. Let me check how long that is. So it's got 4 subsections, maybe just a couple of them. However, I do not know, Kaylin, you're next on my list. I should warn you.
Okay.
I don't know how much, you're comfortable with taking on. What would you suggest here?
I mean, I can probably read it. Might know a couple of words to be able to figure it out from context, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. All right. How about this much, and we'll pitch in.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So yaka iskum tenas kanim, kuli kopa yaka kanim, pimitlai kopa kanim yaka isik, kuli kopa keyet? Is it keyet?
Yeah.
Piyaka keyet. Okay. Piyaka tlap kopa keyet. Piyaka nanet chok pos yaka kuli kikuli. Piyaka mitlai wake ogok taid. Pos yaka tletwa sahali ogok taid. Tide? Tide.
Tide. Yeah.
Tide. Well, ogok choch chi tletwa alta. Piyaka kanam yaka halout. Pi sametl yaka jump. Pi yaka tletwa kopa inatai kanem. Well, tenes leli yaka hot tenes hal. Yaka jump hot kakwa yaka hot hal out.
Nice.
So,
good accent.
Very good. Wow,
I struggled because I
natural.
learned Japanese for so long and always wanting to pronounce it that way. But so he got small kanim. What's that?
Yeah, canoe.
Canoe, right. And went to his canoe and was at or is it from? Okay, at canoe he isik. What's isik?
Paddle.
So
Paddle,
isik is a
okay.
paddle, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he went in the canoe with a paddle, or?
And with this language, you kind of usually have to figure out what the words mean after you hear them.
Yeah.
In this case, I think it's like and in, and being in or sitting in.
Being in
The canoe was
paddled.
his paddle.
Got it. Okay.
I think.
Then he went to Heye and he clap. What's that?
So that's to arrive or reach.
Got
Literally,
it. Okay.
it's to grab or find.
Fine.
Okay. So yeah, got to Heye and he saw Choch. What's that Choch?
Famous BC
Chuck.
word, the chuck, the water.
Oh, Chuck. Yeah, water. If he
Or when.
went. Oh, when he went Kikwili? Kikwili? What's that? Oh, down. Okay.
Down
he
or
saw
under.
water when he went down. Yeah, there's water.
And
under.
here, I think this is another unusual use of a pronoun. I think this yaka is the water. Something like the tide is going down, receding.
Oh, okay.
And so he can't like get so close to this Taiyeh place.
Okay.
Right. Is this story like involving a bit of the supernatural or stuff? Like, is he close to an area where people think that that area is sort of alive, or?
That's what I want to know now that you say it. That's great.
There's a lot of fairly significant stories, of water and adventures happen near points that have names and are viewed to be creatures and things like that. So
That's right. That's right. Thanks for mentioning that.
Well, the question that came up last week or when we were doing this is, would water be considered to be alive, like an animate thing?
Because you have like the yaka, the word for he or she.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and I wouldn't think that the water would, but I would think it very likely that it's assumed that, if this is playing a role in the story, so to speak, then it's likely it's a being or it's a convention that comes from all of the stories that deal with the sea and the undersea and the creatures of the sea.
Mm.
Good.
That's very cool. I love how we get the perspectives, adding up here to a better understanding. I think that's pretty on point here. And Thomas Paul would be used to telling this story in the Sanchothan language, right? Where a whole lot of this stuff would be just background knowledge, unspoken, for the people who he's used to telling it to in the way that he's used to telling it. And yeah, so there's a lot of it here that maybe he's, attempting to encode for us, right? Like through his use of the pronouns and so on. What we routinely find, you guys, when we hear a story in jargon is anything that may seem confusing to you is actually something that carries meaning. Right, there's an intention behind it, and it's just a question whether we sort of can get to that by having a bit of patience and thinking it through. Anyway, yeah, that's interrupting what you're doing there. Doing awesome. So carry on.
I should say that Dale, he speaks Salish in Belakula, so has a lot more insight into that. So we're lucky to have him.
Boy, everybody's frozen for some reason here.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, you're fine to me.
Yeah, everything's fine for me. Probably just a connection issue. Okay, so Piyaka Miklait would be he waited, or he was there and would wait. Is that actually wait?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good BC word as opposed to the older jargon ata from Canadian French.
Okay.
So he was there waiting
for the tide.
Waiting for the tide.
Yeah. And whether Holly, that sounds familiar. I can't remember what that is. So
here, post can be for the purpose or so that it go up.
Up. That's right. Yeah. Go up tide. So waiting for the tide to go up.
Yeah. To rise.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, this water. Chi, is that good?
Chi is new, or
new. Okay.
the adverb. It's like start to or just now.
Okay. Well, this water is starting now, and Yaka Kanem. I'll take the canoe out. Is Yaka? Can it be first person too, or he took the canoe out?
Ye. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And this kind of looks like he's the or Thomas Paul is putting the object of the verb before the verb, kind of for emphasis, which we see a whole lot in jargon. You guys can do that too when you talk jargon. If you have just kind of the right tone of voice, you can be totally clear in saying something like the Yaka Kanim Yaka haul out. And his canoe he hauled out. Yeah.
Why the two H's in chi there? Is there a reason?
Yep. Nice question. In original, Southern dialect jargon, there's kind of a plain X sound, a linguist would say. Anyway, it sounds like chi. Chi.
Chi.
Yeah. And many BC speakers I've found do preserve some reflection of that old pronunciation. So for this kind of BC dialect that I've been, I guess, standardizing, I've kept just that slight reflection here of the pronunciation.
Cool. Cute. Okay, and Sametl, he jumped, and he went across the canoe, or across with the canoe?
Seems like across the canoe to me.
Okay. Well, a small lady? What's that?
A little long time, so a little while.
Long time. Okay. Well, a little while he walked. What's that? Walk.
Also again or and.
Okay. Okay. So after a little while, he also small.
And
Took
this
it
is
out.
a verb.
No. Okay.
So the tennis here is making a diminutive out of the verb haul.
Okay.
So pull or haul.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah. So he
Gave a little tug maybe or something.
Yeah, gave a little tug. Yeah, that sounds right.
And maybe here is one of these silent its that we talk about, silent it. So it's like he, tugged on it, tugged it, the canoe.
So he's basically jumping back and forth over the canoe, giving a little tug as the tide comes up, trying to get it fixed solid.
That's what I'm seeing too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Snass means not so much in a little while, but it means like right away. Or the water comes up a couple inches, he gives it another tug.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's early for me. What again is what? What? I know you just said it.
Again.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Again or more or also.
Okay, got it.
And I think on the word list you're probably using, you'll see the spelling is W-E-G-H-T.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he jumped again. Kakwa.
Like that.
Like that. Okay. So he jumped again like that. He hauled it out again. Brought it out again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Trial by fire.
Let's make a context,
Merci.
Kaylin, you can come back next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can too. I have Sam next on my list, so let's let me figure out how to scroll. Oh, brother. Okay.
How about yaka walked, yaka jump walked, yaka blade, yaka yaka kanim, yaka iskam yaka, yushkat stick, yaka mama mitwit stick, yaka mislite oak stick, isamas, yaka iskam lope, yaka mamuk ow, oka stick kako. Should I finish it off or just?
Yeah, no, we can.
P yaka kuli klat wakopa show, P yaka wait, post tide chaco, mislite, onas, kata lele, chop, yaka chaco, pas alta.
Okay, I'm gonna fix two things.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm always doing that on the fly with you guys.
That's okay. So he jumps again, and he really he takes his canoe. Yaka kanim. He gets to his canoe. And he takes his long stick.
The pole.
Pole, yeah.
So a canoe pole.
Right, and he makes it stand up, the stick, his pole,
okay.
And he puts it there, the stick. And Sametl, he takes the rope and he ties the stick like that, or the pole like that, and he runs Kuliklatwa, he runs again. He runs and goes to the shore, and he waits for the tide to come, and he waits. Mithai and Pronas Katalele. Perhaps how long?
Or God
We don't
knows
know.
how long.
Yeah, God knows how long. Yeah, Katalele. And the water, it comes, and now it's full.
Yeah. And without going into too many details on that, you know, we do again have the water being referred to, I think, a couple times as Yaka. You know, like she or he.
Mm-hmm.
There's also once where I think his canoe pole, right? You know, you guys know the big long pole that folks would use like to go upstream, pushing on the floor of the waterway. His canoe pole is Yaka in here once, isn't it? Yeah, he stood up his stick, Yaka Mithlite.
And it stood that stick.
Yeah, that's what I'm understanding. I'll put a comma right here to show that that's kind of what I'm seeing. It stood there. It stood, or it was there, that stick. And here's the short version of Okok, by the way. So Okok is this or that, you know, it's also those and these. A lot of times if you see a short version of Okok, it can be just like the. It's kind of a word that was starting to happen in jargon, was this oak for the. And especially if you're talking Southern dialect, you can say it like Grand Ron, you'll hear all the time, ook stick, ook, 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 ook.
I remember you saying that, you know, at least once, that in Grand Ron, you know, the ook, usually spelled UK, is becoming like
some of your old dictionaries have OKE for the spelling, and they'll show that word.
I have a thought on the kind of adding a character, I guess, to the stick by calling it Yaka. I was writing a paper on halibut hooks last semester, and one of the things, like the traditional made halibut hooks, is they would be carving particular figures into the hooks to kind of offer protection while they're out in the ocean fishing. I wonder if a similar thing was kind of done with canoe paddles, if they were if there's carvings in them to give protection, and then in that way kind of what's the word I'm looking for, putting like a spirit into it through that way.
I mean, I know that carving, you know, doing carvings on all of your most of the poles that you drove into the river and stuff were usually related to like holding nets and stuff like that, and they were all really elaborately carved. So maybe I've never heard anyone or seen any like canoe poles that were carved, but once you start driving poles into the river, it seems to me like you're thinking of it as a thing, and it's just by association you might start speaking of it more along the lines of all those poles you drive into the river, which tend to be carved.
Yeah, my first thought was that if it was made out of red cedar, then maybe just like the significance of cedar would kind of give it some sort of character. But yeah, it's interesting.
So is he tying, the one thing I'm not following here, when he ties the rope, is he tying his canoe to this stick? Or is he just tying a rope to the stick? Because I kind of assume that it's the canoe he's tying up, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I go there right away. You know, in stories we so often have folks tying up their canoes. That has a lot of significance, like all the flood stories, right? Where people are tying their canoe to a mountaintop and so forth. We had one of those already from Thomas Paul several weeks ago. So he took a rope, right, and he tied. He real quickly. I think we have another silent it right here. So he tied it to the pole like that. He tied the rope to the stick, to the pole, like that. And he, again, this pair of verbs, right? Mr. Paul often says, coolie something, right? So again, he traveled going to the shore, and he waited so that, or he waited for the tide to come. And Sam had a nice performance of this awesome Chinook feature, right? You draw out the stressed vowel in the word to say that, something is very intense or maybe took a long time. So mitlait, right? He waited. He was there. And then this little expression I'll touch on, I guess, for the newer folks here. Anyway, tlonas or tlonas is maybe in its kind of literal meaning. So what we have here is maybe, how, long time. Put it all together though, and it's like, God knows how long. Who knows how long? So maybe how long time. Who knows how long? And I think there's kind of an implicit and here, maybe. Because then I see this as, and then the water, he came. Again, the animate water came, and it was full. Pesh.
And that was my other question. What is the it that was full? Does this mean high tide?
Yeah, I think it's like it meaning the whole environment, right? The whole scene. Things were full, right? There was full. There was fullness.
Everything was filled up,
And yeah, it's not yaka. It's not yaka pesh or pesh yaka, right? As a way of saying, this or that was full. It was full.
And instead, pash,
zero
pash is very much
pronoun.
not
So
an active thing.
essentially here you have, again, a silent it, in my view, because that happens for inanimate subjects as well as inanimate objects of verbs. And so it's like, this is kind of the same kind of it as when English speakers say, it's raining, or it's hot outside. What is that it? You can't say, right?
I remember a linguistics professor saying, I cannot answer this in this lecture because someone from the divinity department has answered.
That's right. Yeah, that it, for a lot of linguists' terminology, as like Dale knows, that it in that kind of expression is called a dummy pronoun. Like it's just fake. It's only there because you're used to having a subject, but there really is no subject.
I had another idea. This could be completely off, but if you think of the pasche more as a substantive, you could say, and then the fullness was there. Then fullness. So then the water was.
There's a Salish word that would be, and then everything's amazing or whatever.
Yeah, I have a little bit of curiosity about like the Sanchopan way of expressing this. It could well have been a kind of a nounish word. Salish does interesting stuff like that. That has
like Nuchalk has quite a few different, like it has a couple different sets of words in total to talk about the tide coming in and out. And and I've wondered if some of them were influenced by Chinook, but I don't know. But I would point out that if you look at this, the places where Chuck Yakachako, that's doing something, and Pash is a state.
Yeah.
So there's two ways there. One, you could think of it as being like a sequence of verbs where the yaka is there. It's just being not included in this, Chuck Yaka Chaku Pashalta. Like it's just one phrase. And then the other one is to think of it as, or not like that, but like almost like, and he saw me, hit me, and then left.
Yeah. Like this, like almost like what we call a serial verb, which the narrator has been doing, the whole like traveled went.
Yeah.
And so maybe like, serial verb of like was full. And I kind of like the idea of editing to just have this dash in here based on something you just said. Yeah. Just it'd be a standard Chinook jargon expression. That's how you'd say became full, right?
Yeah.
The water, keep the water, he or it became full. Then, as in the tide was all the way up. We should not be, super afraid to make changes, in the interpretation, the understanding of this story, just because a super duper eminent linguist, Melville Jacobs, wrote this down and published it without a dash, right? He thought it was like, he had the comma, right? Thought it was two separate expressions. He's not always right. We keep on correcting him in these, in our work on these stories. We've made many, little improvements actually in understanding stuff, and they're almost always, better motivated than what was published before.
See, one real cool thing of doing this way is that it points out a way in which the ocean is seen. So, I mean, the chuck is not the water. The chuck is the place of the water. Even though it's both, but I mean, in this story, the way it's talked about, the chuck then is where the water is, and it can become full, it can become empty, because, the water is often, it's one of the realms, and under the water is one of the realms where, stories happen.
Yeah. I think there's some insights there. Yeah. Alex, how much would you like to take on?
Yeah, I mean, I could give it a go.
I haven't heard you yet, but well, anyway, why don't you just start and go until you poop out?
Sure. Well, Sametl yaka kuli sletwa kopa wolf, ka yaka mitleit ok wolf, pi yaka klet, pi yaka mitwit, pi yaka nenich moxt tennis wolf, pi yaka tletwa yaka walk slow, pi yaka iskam moxt tennis wolf, pi yaka iskam, pi ikt kopa light, pi ich kopa left. Well yaka kuli alta skukum kuli, pos yaka tlet kopa beach. Not sure about that. Yeah, beach. Now beach. That makes more sense. Yaka jump, yaka tlet kopa yaka kanim, yaka mesh oko lop, pi yaka isik, skukum isik, kuli kopa yaka home.
Nice. Leed klush, Michael.
So while Sametl, he traveled going to the wolf, right? Went to the wolf.
To the wolf's place, by the way. Very often, if you say to somebody, it's like the she,
right? Okay.
Yeah, so it's you went to the wolf's place.
She wolf.
And caw, I'm not sure about.
Where?
Where he got that wolf.
Where he was.
Where he was, the wolf.
Let me I'm always doing this correcting on the fly. Here, let's put in a comma, which is one of our ways to signal the subject of the clause has been thrown out to the end.
Or I mean, mitlight, it's like stay in a place, but is it also, it's also like own, right? Like where he, right?
It also is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In this case, I do think it's just the, location verb.
Right. And he took it? Or got it? Or?
Yeah, he what is it? Found? Or got, or something like that. Yeah.
he
Or arrived there, sorry. It just occurs to me. He's going to the wolf's place, right? And
Okay.
can also mean arrive there, reach there.
Okay. Okay, so he arrived, and I'm not sure about mitwit.
That's to stand.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and he stood, and he saw Mox's two small wolves, two wolf cubs, and Iskam is took for sure, right? That's
we have this little bit right here after he saw the two little wolves,
and he took sorry, I skipped the line, sorry.
Yeah,
and he
it
went,
was pretty seamless too.
And he went and he walk
slow.
And he walked slowly.
Perfect translation.
And he took the two small wolves, and he took what? And one copa light.
Light he left.
Left, and one he left. Okay. So and one. Sorry, copa light is
so light
right.
Is right.
Okay, and one on the right and one on the left.
Yeah.
One was he traveled hard. I don't know.
He traveled hard. He was traveled.
Yeah.
Strong travel.
Yeah. Pose Yaka Tlet Copa Beach. When he arrived at the beach, now is now.
Yeah.
Now he jumped. He arrived at his canoe. And he mesh. He not untied his rope. I'm not sure mesh though.
Mosh. Yeah, mosh is like to throw in kind of fundamental word, but or fundamental use. But right, to get rid of. Or
okay.
Cast off.
Another
is a good.
Right. Nice and nautical.
He cast off.
Yeah. That's it. Moshlo cast off.
Okay. He casted off that rope, and he
slightly tricky here, everybody, because we had Isik before.
That's paddle. But this is like a verb.
Boom.
He paddled hard.
Yeah.
He paddled strongly, traveling towards his home.
Late flush, yeah. Hey, you guys, you two who I've never met before, how did you get so good?
Amazing.
Yeah, awesome students.
That's awesome.
Here with the word for beach, I decided on 2 eyes in there as kind of a clue.
Okay, yeah. That's makes sense now.
And that's a new, one of these many new borrowings from English, right, in the time of Thomas Paul. Because before that, in jargon, you would have had like Pulali Ilahi, the sand place.
Isn't there a now it's or something like that?
Yeah. Pretty obscure, though. That's Southern dialect.
Okay.
Now, I hate to break up the party, but it is 9 o'clock. I think Norbert's got something on, and just to keep this in that 8 to 9 time frame, I think this is the end of our fun now.
Okay, well.
Aren't you the mean one today? No.
Say, what was that, Dale?
I said, aren't you the mean one today?
Yeah, I think I'm the mean one every Saturday morning here.
Well,
So,
Well, there's a lot more of this story, you know, for next time.
yeah, and otherwise, I mean, we could be here till 2 in the afternoon having fun. So let's just leave it that.
keep them
So
wanting more.
everybody stay skookum and yeah, take care and nice
Thank you
to
for
see you,
welcoming
Dale.
me.
Nice to
Yeah.
meet you, Kaylin,
Thank
and
you.
we'll see you all next week then.
Yeah, and I'll sit right down and put notes in here and email them as I usually do.
Okay.
So expect that shortly.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dave.
Tlachayim, Kana Wiklaksta.
Ayumasa.
I am.
You.
Ayun, I'll see you. Sahaya.